Hello friends. If you were born on January 12th, prepare yourself, this isn't just another horoscope. This is a deep dive into the cosmic blueprint that makes you, you. We're not stopping at sun signs, we're going into love, sex, marriage, friendship, business, and even tapping into numerology, Druidic, Vedic, flower, and stone horoscopes. It's a full-on cosmic X-ray of the mysterious, determined, and magnetic soul that comes into the world on January 12th. So what does it really mean to be born on the 12th day of January? Let's begin with the obvious. Western zodiac, Capricorn with a twist. If you're born on January 12th, you belong to the sun sign Capricorn, a sign governed by Saturn, the planet of discipline, structure, and time. This already sets the tone for someone serious, focused, and often wise beyond their years. But January 12th is no ordinary Capricorn date, it falls within the second decan of the sign, where Venus lends her influence. This subtle but powerful twist changes everything. While most Capricorns are seen as reserved, dry, and obsessively career-driven, you carry the warmth, aesthetic eye, and romantic heart of Venus along with Saturn's steel backbone. Think of it like this. You've got the cold logic of a master strategist, paired with the soulful appreciation of a poet. You're as likely to fall in love with the design of the plan as the result itself. You have the determination to climb the mountain, but you want the view at the top to be beautiful. You'll chase success, yes, but you also care about how you get there. Presentation matters. Relationships matter. You notice details. You get restless in sterile environments. You crave both control and inspiration, which can make you incredibly gifted in fields where strategy meets creativity, architecture, design, branding, film production, and even finance, if given some room for innovation. People underestimate you because of your calm exterior, but they don't realize how many moving parts are working behind your eyes. You are always planning, always 5 steps ahead, but what sets you apart is that you're planning with purpose. Your vision is more than personal gain, you want legacy, beauty, meaning. You don't just want to build a life, you want to craft it. The dual energy of Saturn and Venus means you experience internal tension, you long for closeness, but fear losing control, you crave beauty, but fear distraction, you want love, but don't always trust it. This makes you both deeply desirable and, at times, emotionally hard to read. But those who understand your complexity see a person who is fiercely loyal, emotionally intelligent, and quietly, almost secretly, romantic. You're the kind of Capricorn who dreams of a life that's not just successful, but also worth living. And that makes all the difference. Love relationships. For those born on January 12th, love is not a casual endeavor, it's a deliberate choice. You're not the type to fall in and out of crushes like summer waves. You don't love impulsively. You study the person. You observe. You test compatibility silently. And when you finally decide, it's because you've seen long-term potential, not just temporary passion. Your relationships often start slowly. You can come off as detached or overly formal, even when you're interested. But beneath that reserved approach is a deep desire to build something real, something stable, something lasting. You're wired to invest emotionally, but only after you've vetted the person through your inner checklist. Are they honest? Are they consistent? Do they share your drive? Are they capable of growing with you, not just loving you? You crave loyalty. Not just in words, but in actions. You're the kind of partner who remembers the details, not to throw them back in your partner's face later, but because you're always observing, tracking progress, seeing if someone truly values you. When you're in love, you support your partner like a silent storm, powerful, consistent, and unwavering. You will work hard to provide emotional and practical security, often doing more than your share without even mentioning it. You crave shared goals. You're turned on not just by attraction but by potential. You fall hardest for people who want to build something, whether that's a family, a business, a lifestyle, or a dream. For you, romance is deeply tied to purpose. You don't just want a lover, you want a teammate, a co-founder of your ideal life. You crave emotional depth. Surface-level flirting bores you. You're looking for someone who can dive into the deeper waters, someone who can handle your silence, understand your moods, and interpret your actions even when you struggle to verbalize them. Because yes, you feel everything, but thanks to Saturn's influence, you tend to keep those feelings heavily guarded. You may be afraid of vulnerability, afraid of losing control, or afraid of not being understood. You crave someone who can match your ambition. Not necessarily in the same field, but in energy, focus, and commitment. You're attracted to people with direction, not necessarily people with big egos, but people who have a sense of mission. Nothing turns you off faster than laziness, flakiness, or a victim mentality. You want someone who sees challenges and says, let's handle it. And yet, despite your deep capacity for love, you often struggle to show it openly. You're more action than affection. More planning than poetry. And that can be confusing to your partner, especially if they're emotionally expressive or crave verbal affirmation. But when you clean their car, remember their coffee order, or stay up late helping them with a project? That's your version of, I love you. You may not wear your heart on your sleeve, but it's there, strong, loyal, and fiercely devoted once someone earns your trust. And that kind of love? That's rare. And it's real. Sex life. This is the part of your personality that most people don't expect, and that's exactly how you like it. On the surface, January 12th Capricorns often appear cool, composed, and maybe even a bit emotionally distant. But once trust is established and emotional safety is in place, your sensual side opens up like a velvet curtain revealing a whole different act, one that's lush, attentive, and passionately complex. Thanks to the influence of Venus, your approach to sex is far from mechanical. You see it as an art form, a language of connection that goes beyond the physical. For you, sex is not just about pleasure, it's about merging emotionally, spiritually, and even mentally with your partner. You crave deep intimacy, the kind that makes time blur and makes the world outside the bedroom completely irrelevant. You're turned on by connection, by consistency, by mutual respect and emotional security. If those things are missing, your sexual interest can fade quickly. Unlike more impulsive signs, you don't leap into bed easily, but when you do, you bring a sense of focus and curiosity that is both intense and deeply gratifying for your partner. You're not in it for novelty, you're in it for depth. You want to know what makes the other person melt, what makes them feel safe, seen, and desired. That curiosity translates into a bedroom style that is generous, explorative, and intentional. You're not just going through the motions, you're reading every sigh, every shift in body language, every breath. You're also someone who enjoys setting the scene. The mood is part of the magic. You might not call yourself romantic out loud, but your actions speak volumes: low lighting, perfectly curated playlists, textures that feel like silk and cashmere. You have a knack for engaging all five senses during intimacy, and you instinctively understand that atmosphere amplifies desire. You'll choose quality over quantity every time, not just in partners, but in every sensual detail. Even in long-term relationships, you don't let sex become routine. You keep it evolving, adapting, refining. You're the type to have secret journals with observations about what your partner likes, or private fantasies you want to explore slowly over time. You may not initiate often with grand gestures, but your partner will always feel that they are deeply wanted and appreciated. Your quiet intensity is what makes you unforgettable between the sheets. And while one-night stands may occasionally happen, usually during emotionally detached phases or when you're trying to prove something to yourself, they rarely satisfy you. You need context. You need depth. Without emotional gravity, sex feels flat. But with the right partner, it's not just sex, it's alchemy. Marriage. Marriage, for someone born on January 12th, is not a romantic daydream, it's a commitment that sits somewhere between a sacred vow and a lifetime contract. You take it with the seriousness of an architect drawing up plans for a skyscraper, thoroughly, strategically, and with zero tolerance for shortcuts. Love might be the reason you enter it, but structure is what keeps you there. You don't marry lightly. In fact, you probably think long and hard about the timing, the person, and even your own readiness. You're likely to delay marriage until you're sure you've built a solid foundation, emotionally, financially, and personally. You may have seen too many relationships crumble due to poor planning or unrealistic expectations, and you're determined not to become another cautionary tale. You want your marriage to be fortress strong, not just emotionally but also practically, clear finances, mutual goals, shared values. When you're in it for the long haul. You don't threaten divorce during arguments. You don't walk away when things get hard. You believe that hard times are to be weathered, not escaped. You'll work through issues like you'd manage a business conflict, strategically, with patience, and a long-term view. But this doesn't mean you're cold, it means you're devoted. You take your promises seriously, and you expect the same from your partner. That said, there is a catch, and it's a big one. Your desire for control and perfection can sometimes become too much. You tend to believe that your way is the most efficient, logical, and structured, and often, you're right. But marriage isn't a system to be optimized, it's a partnership. If you don't consciously ease up on the reins from time to time, your partner may start to feel like a subordinate rather than an equal. You may find yourself correcting them too often, micromanaging decisions, or silently judging how they do things, even if you never say it out loud. That tension can build over time if it's not addressed. The most successful marriages for you are the ones in which both partners bring something to the table. You don't want to carry the whole weight of the relationship, and you don't respect those who just go along with your plans. You thrive with someone who has their own fire, their own perspective, their own ambitions, but who also understands that teamwork is non-negotiable. You need a co-architect, not just a roommate. Someone who supports your vision but also challenges it, constructively, lovingly, intelligently. When that balance is right, you are a phenomenal spouse, loyal, capable, responsible, nurturing in your own way, and deeply protective. You might not always show affection in traditional ways, but you show it by remembering small details, by picking up slack when your partner is tired, by making sure their life is more secure and stable because you're in it. Ultimately, your version of marriage is one that grows richer over time, not flash-in-the-pan passion, but the kind of lasting, evolving love that feels earned, built, and unshakable. And when you find that, you'll move mountains to keep it. Friendship. You're not the type to walk into a party and instantly command the room with flashy stories or bold introductions. In fact, many January 12th natives are mistaken as shy or aloof at first, but that's only because you're watching. Observing. Deciding who's real and who's just noise. You have a built-in radar for authenticity, and it filters out the fluff before someone even speaks. So when you do choose to open up to someone, it means something. It's deliberate, meaningful, and lasting. Your approach to friendship is slow-burning and deeply loyal. You don't hand out the title of friend lightly. It has to be earned, not through grand gestures, but through consistency, honesty, and shared values. You don't care if someone is the life of the party, you care if they show up when it counts. You look for people who can hold space for deep conversations, who can challenge you intellectually, and who respect boundaries. If someone's only interested in gossip or surface-level banter, they won't get very far with you. You crave authenticity, not attention. Once someone does get close, though, they're in for life, unless they break your trust. You don't do second chances easily. Trust, for you, is sacred. And betrayal? That's almost impossible to come back from. But for those who treat the relationship with care, you're an anchor of support and wisdom. You may not be the one sending constant texts or planning brunch every Sunday, but you're the one your friends call at 3 a.m. when something actually matters. When your friend's car breaks down in the rain, you're the one who shows up with jumper cables and hot coffee. When they're overwhelmed at work, you help them plan their way out. Your love language in friendship is service and loyalty. Another key trait in your friendships, depth. You're one of the few people who actually enjoy long, winding conversations about life, purpose, trauma, goals, and even death, not in a morbid way, but in a thoughtful, reflective one. You live for the kind of talks that go until 2 a.m. with your closest friend on a couch with half-finished tea. You want to know what drives people. What scares them. What they dream of becoming. And in turn, your friends get access to your quieter, often hidden self, your dry sense of humor, your gentle advice, your random acts of kindness, and your quirky side, the one that knows all the lyrics to 2000s indie rock or nerds out over architecture documentaries. Because of this, your friend group is typically small but solid. You might have acquaintances, co-workers, neighbors, gym buddies, but only a very select few make it into your inner circle. And once they do, you protect them like family. Your loyalty is legendary. You're the friend who keeps their secrets, never gossips, and offers grounded advice that actually helps. You don't just empathize, you strategize solutions. That's a rare combo, and your friends know it. Friendship, to you, isn't about constant presence. It's about reliability, mutual respect, and showing up when it matters most. You don't need to talk every day to stay close, but when life throws a curveball, you're already in the car, halfway there. Business career. This is where you shine like a polished obsidian stone, quietly powerful, immovably focused, and cutting through challenges with surgical precision. Career is not just a job for someone born on January 12th. It's often a central pillar of your identity. You don't just work for money, you work for mastery. For progress. For the thrill of building something that lasts. You probably had a plan before most kids even figured out what day of the week it was. Maybe it was running your own lemonade stand with cost breakdowns and expansion goals, or maybe it was dreaming of a future courtroom, art gallery, or startup long before college. But it was there. The drive. The vision. The relentless self-discipline. And with Saturn's influence, you've got the patience and durability to weather any storm, because you understand better than anyone that success isn't supposed to come easy. That being said, you're no robot. Thanks to Venus, your work isn't just about systems and profits. You want it to mean something. You want elegance, aesthetics, strategy, harmony. That's why careers that fuse structure with creativity are perfect for you. Think, architect where design meets engineering, lawyer where structure meets persuasion, or brand strategist where commerce meets emotion. You're just as comfortable in a boardroom as you are sketching out a business model on a napkin in a cafe. And let's be real, you could run the place. You're the type who starts as an intern and ends up in a leadership role within 5 years because your combination of discipline, intuition, and vision is hard to miss. You're not loud about your ambitions, but you're consistent. You finish what you start. You outperform without having to announce it. And people trust you because you get results. Money? Oh, it's coming. Maybe not early in life, you're more tortoise than hare, but once your foundation is built, it tends to compound, big time. You understand long-term planning and delayed gratification better than most. You're more likely to invest wisely than splurge impulsively. And because of that, many born on January 12th experience their biggest financial breakthroughs later in life, after they've put in the sweat equity. But there's a shadow side here, burnout. You work hard. Sometimes too hard. You set impossibly high standards, not just for others, but for yourself. You don't rest because there's always something more to optimize. More to improve. More to build. This mindset brings you excellence, yes, but it can also cost you your peace if you don't learn when to pause. You must learn to see rest not as weakness, but as fuel. The world really won't end if you take a weekend off. Yes, really. Your path to success is earned, not given. You're not afraid to start small, climb slow, and earn every ounce of respect. That's why when you arrive, it's not a fluke. It's destiny. And it's built on a foundation no one else can shake. Compatibility with other signs. When it comes to relationships, romantic or otherwise, you're not looking for a spark that fizzles. You want a connection that builds over time, like slow-burning coals that never go out. Your loyalty is unmatched, your emotional depth runs silent and strong, and you prefer the real over the exciting. That's why some signs feel like home to you, while others feel like you're speaking two completely different emotional languages. Taurus is one of your absolute best matches. Why? Because they value what you value: security, loyalty, consistency, and a touch of luxury. You both love a well-planned life, delicious food, and long-term goals. Taurus grounds your ambition with sensuality and calm, and in return, you provide Taurus with direction and a sense of protection. Together, you create a life that's not only stable but filled with small, intentional pleasures. This is a relationship where both of you feel safe to build, and to rest. Virgo is your kindred spirit in logic, order, and mutual respect. You both thrive on details, systems, and forward thinking, and you admire each other's work ethic and integrity. Virgo challenges you intellectually and emotionally, in the best way, helping you open up and question your assumptions, while you offer Virgo a stable, grounded partner who can turn ideas into tangible outcomes. Your bond is quiet but strong, and when nurtured, can last decades. Pisces, surprisingly, brings out a side of you that few get to see: your emotional softness and secret romantic core. While they live in the world of dreams and you live in the world of strategies, somehow the blend works. They teach you to feel, to let go, to trust intuition. You, in turn, give their dreams form and structure. You might find their sensitivity a bit overwhelming at first, but over time, you'll appreciate their ability to soften your edges and remind you that not everything has to be earned, some things are just felt. Scorpio brings power, passion, and depth that mirrors your own. This is a high-stakes, high-reward partnership, intense, magnetic, and deeply loyal. Both of you are private, strategic, and emotionally complex, which means you'll understand each other's inner world in ways most people never could. This pairing often feels like fate, a connection built on mutual respect, psychological depth, and unspoken understanding. If you can both learn to let down your emotional defenses, you can become a true force of nature together. Now, onto the signs that challenge you, not impossible matches, but ones that require more conscious effort and patience. Aries can feel like a whirlwind, impulsive, bold, and always chasing the next high. To you, that's exhausting. Their need for instant gratification clashes with your long-game mentality. You may admire their courage, but their spontaneity makes you nervous, and your caution frustrates them. Unless there's a great deal of maturity on both sides, this can be a volatile match with mismatched emotional speeds. Gemini brings fun, ideas, and social energy, but often at the cost of consistency. You crave depth, commitment, and reliability, while Gemini thrives on novelty, variety, and movement. Their mind never stops buzzing, and that can wear you out. You may start to feel like you're parenting them instead of partnering with them, which erodes respect. To make this work, there has to be major alignment on shared values, and a lot of patience on both ends. Leo, at first, seems dazzling, charismatic, ambitious, full of life. You admire their boldness, and they admire your competence. But over time, ego clashes can erupt. Leo needs attention and admiration, you need structure and substance. If Leo feels unappreciated, they become dramatic. If you feel disrespected, you go ice cold. It's possible to make it work, especially if you both respect each other's drive, but it takes emotional maturity and shared purpose to keep the flames from scorching the house. Ultimately, your ideal compatibility isn't about surface-level chemistry. It's about shared vision, emotional maturity, and the ability to grow together. With the right sign, you're not just a great partner, you're unforgettable. Numerology, the power of 12. The number 12 might seem simple, just another date on the calendar, but in numerology, it's a powerhouse. It holds layers of symbolism that mirror your complexity as a January 12th native. Let's peel it back. First, there's the 1. This number is all about leadership, ambition, and original thinking. It represents the trailblazer, the innovator, the individual who moves forward even when no one else is watching. That's your Saturn energy, calculated, persistent, quietly confident. It's the part of you that sets goals and actually follows through. You're not here to follow trends. You're here to build your own lane. Then comes the 2. This number symbolizes partnership, diplomacy, and emotional intelligence. It brings the balance to one's lone wolf energy. It's your Venus influence, the part of you that understands nuance, craves harmony, and knows how to work with others without losing yourself. It also explains your ability to see both the forest and the trees, your instincts for collaboration, empathy, and building bridges. Put them together and you get 12, a number often associated with creative leadership. You're not just a manager, you're a visionary. You know how to lead with grace, not brute force. You inspire, rather than demand. People follow you because you make them believe in something bigger, not just because you're in charge. But the magic doesn't stop there. In numerology, 1 plus 2 is equal to 3, and that's where your hidden spark truly comes to life. The number 3 is about joy, expression, communication, humor, and creativity. It's the childlike energy that dances beneath your composed exterior. That's your secret sauce. While you may seem serious and reserved on the surface, your soul was designed for connection, laughter, storytelling, and even mischief. It's the part of you that cracks dry jokes at the perfect moment, that secretly loves karaoke, that dreams of writing a novel or performing on stage, even if you've never told anyone. So in total, 12 holds all your layers, the boss 1, the partner 2, and the storyteller 3. It explains why you're so hard to pin down, why people sense there's more to you than meets the eye, and why you're capable of balancing power and heart, logic and charm, discipline and creativity. You were born with the rare ability to lead and connect. To build solid foundations and still leave space for joy. Your number reveals not just who you are, but who you're meant to become, a builder of empires, a keeper of secrets, and a quiet revolutionary with a creative soul. Druid Horoscope, the Elm Tree. In the wisdom of Druid astrology, the elm tree stands tall, not just in physical stature, but in the way its energy manifests in people born between January 12th and January 24th. If this is your tree, you're someone who commands respect not with volume or flash, but with quiet certainty. You don't need to dominate a conversation to lead it. When you speak, people lean in. There's something about your presence that suggests depth, purpose, and integrity, the kind that can't be faked and doesn't need to be advertised. Elms are known for their noble and honest nature. And you live and breathe that. Honesty isn't just a value for you, it's a way of being. You don't tolerate dishonesty, manipulation, or pretension. You're the kind of person who tells it like it is, but with grace and kindness. If someone asks your opinion, they better be ready for the truth. You'll say it gently, but you won't sugarcoat. And people respect you for that. In a world full of spin, you're refreshingly real. There's also a natural authority that elm people carry, even if they don't realize it. You might not think of yourself as a leader in the traditional sense, but others instinctively look to you for guidance. You're the one in the group project who ends up organizing the plan. You're the friend who gets asked for advice. You may not seek the spotlight, but somehow it keeps finding you. That's because your strength is steady, your presence calming, and your sense of justice unshakable. And justice? It matters to you. Deeply. You have an innate moral compass that points true north, and it's hard for you to stay silent when something feels wrong. You'll stand up for the underdog, challenge unfair systems, and advocate for the people who can't speak up for themselves. This isn't about being confrontational, it's about being principled. You value fairness, accountability, and doing the right thing, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Elm people also dislike superficiality. Small talk drains you. Performative behavior annoys you. You'd rather have one honest, deep conversation than 1,000 shallow ones. You're not here to impress anyone, you're here to connect. To build something lasting. That's why your friendships tend to be fewer in number but incredibly strong. You seek out kindred spirits, those who are honest, grounded, and authentic. And once you find them, you're loyal for life. There's also a subtle elegance to you, a regal air, even if you're in sneakers and a hoodie. You carry yourself with confidence, without arrogance. It's a quiet dignity. People notice. They trust you, even before they know you well. You give off the sense that you've seen a lot, understood even more, and judged very little. In times of chaos, you're the steady tree people cling to. Unshakable. Rooted. Calm. So what does the elm tree say about your path? That you're meant to lead, but not by shouting. You lead by example. With integrity, thoughtfulness, and grace under pressure. You're here to remind the world that strength doesn't always have to be loud, sometimes it's still, silent, and deeply rooted in truth. Vedic astrology, moon in Sagittarius or Capricorn. In Vedic astrology, the placement of your moon sign says more about your emotional world than your sun sign ever could. It speaks to your inner self, how you process feelings, how you react instinctively, what your soul seeks for comfort and fulfillment. If you were born on January 12, your moon is likely in either Sagittarius or Capricorn, depending on your exact time and location of birth. These two signs are wildly different, and either way, they add a fascinating layer to your personality. If your moon is in Sagittarius, then beneath your grounded, serious Capricorn sun lies a restless, philosophical spirit. You're someone who loves the idea of freedom, not necessarily in a reckless, throw caution to the wind way, but in a way that prioritizes inner growth, exploration, and learning. You may seem calm on the outside, but your mind is often on a journey. You crave new experiences, ideas, and perspectives. Travel lights you up. So does deep conversation about life's biggest questions. Emotionally, you process through reflection, you need time, space, and often movement to make sense of your feelings. There's an optimism in you, too, that softens the heaviness of your Capricorn sun. You believe things can get better. You believe people are capable of change. And that belief keeps you resilient. This moon placement also makes you a truth seeker, and you tend to feel emotionally safe when your life feels meaningful. You want to be part of something larger than yourself, whether that's a philosophy, a cause, a mission, or a journey. You may not always show it, but you're deeply idealistic. And when you find something or someone that aligns with your values, you're all in. This placement adds lightness and humor to your serious side. You're the type to deliver deep wisdom with a wink and a punchline. You don't take yourself too seriously, and that's part of your charm. Now, if your moon is in Capricorn, you're what astrologers call a double Capricorn, and that's a powerful combo. Here, your outer and inner worlds are aligned in their commitment to structure, responsibility, and long-term goals. You feel emotionally safe when things are predictable, stable, and under control. You don't like chaos. You don't like surprises. And you certainly don't like being vulnerable without a plan. This doesn't mean you're cold, it means you express warmth through actions, not words. You might not say, "I love you," every day, but you'll pay the bills, show up on time, and build a life that proves it. That's love, Capricorn style. With your moon here, you process emotions slowly and privately. You don't rush into feelings. You observe, assess, and file things away until you're ready to deal. It's not repression, it's strategic timing. You feel deeply, but you need time to trust. To open up. To believe that you won't be judged or exposed. That's why you tend to bond with people who are patient, stable, and emotionally intelligent, people who understand that loyalty is more valuable to you than emotional fireworks. This moon placement also gives you a strong sense of duty, to your family, your work, your legacy. You may carry more emotional weight than most, but you do it with grace and resilience. You are built for the long haul, and your emotional strength often becomes your quiet superpower. Others may fall apart under pressure, you build empires in the same storm. Whether your moon is in Sagittarius or Capricorn, it adds emotional nuance to your life path. If it's Sagittarius, your inner world is fueled by freedom, belief, and optimism. If it's Capricorn, it's rooted in discipline, loyalty, and emotional mastery. Both bring balance, both add layers, and both make you the kind of person who not only endures, but inspires. Flower horoscope, Carnation. If you're born on January 12th, your flower is the carnation, a bloom that may seem delicate at first glance, but don't let its ruffled petals fool you. This flower is all about depth, resilience, and emotional complexity, much like you. Carnations have been around for thousands of years, cultivated by ancient civilizations for their strength, scent, and symbolism. Sound familiar? That's because you, too, have an ancient soul kind of wisdom paired with a quietly powerful presence. The carnation symbolizes love, fascination, and distinction, and those qualities are echoed in your personality in profound ways. You're not the person who bursts into a room demanding attention, but people notice you anyway. There's something captivating about your energy, something that makes others lean in. You have a magnetic presence, but it's never forced. Your elegance is understated. Your charm is real. You're the kind of person who leaves a lasting impression, often without even trying. People walk away from conversations with you feeling seen, heard, and somehow, steadier. There's also a resilient toughness to carnations, and to you. These flowers thrive in many conditions. They weather storms, bloom in rocky soil, and bounce back after the frost. You, too, have endured more than most people realize. Life has tested you, but instead of breaking, you've adapted. Grown stronger. Blossomed in unexpected ways. You don't wear your scars as decoration, but they've made you wise. Your quiet strength is your secret weapon. People may underestimate you at first, but they don't make that mistake twice. And then there's the fascination factor, something about you intrigues others. You're not easily figured out. You reveal yourself slowly, like petals opening in the morning sun. There's always more beneath the surface, and the people who stick around long enough to earn your trust discover a world of intelligence, humor, sensitivity, and loyalty. Like the many colors of carnations, from deep reds to pale pinks, your emotional palette is rich, nuanced, and meaningful. You don't give your affection lightly, but when you do, it's profound. Lasting. Unforgettable. The carnation also teaches you that beauty can be soft and strong at once. You don't have to shout to be powerful. You don't have to be flashy to be exceptional. You can carry quiet grace and fierce determination in the same breath, and in fact, you do. In love, in friendship, in your work, you bring both tenderness and tenacity. Just like your flower, you're built to bloom again and again, regardless of what life throws your way. Stone horoscope, Garnet. As a January 12th native, your birthstone is the garnet, a deep red gem that radiates protection, passion, and purpose. While your Capricorn exterior may be calm, grounded, and unshakably composed, the garnet represents the fire burning beneath. This is the stone of regeneration and energy, and it reflects your hidden drive, your intensity, and your inner glow, the part of you that very few people truly get to see. At its core, garnet is about revitalization. It's known for bringing energy back into balance, physical, emotional, and spiritual. This mirrors your own process of growth, steady, internal, and deeply personal. You're not the type to announce every transformation, you evolve in private. But when you emerge from those quiet periods of introspection or struggle, you're stronger, sharper, and more aligned than ever. Garnet's message is this: you can rise from anything. And you always do. The stone also carries a protective energy. It's been used since ancient times as a talisman to guard against danger and negativity, not just from the outside world, but from within. And let's be real, your biggest battles often happen inside your own mind. You hold yourself to high standards. You internalize stress. You carry responsibilities that would crush other people. Garnet helps ground you. It reminds you to release guilt, recharge your energy, and trust your instincts. When you wear it or keep it close, it's like carrying a secret shield, one that keeps you focused, centered, and protected. Emotionally, garnet is tied to deep, enduring love, the kind that doesn't fizzle out with time or distance. That speaks directly to your way of loving. You don't fall easily, but when you do, it's profound. Loyal. Devoted. Sometimes guarded, but always real. Garnet enhances your natural desire for connection with substance, helping you attract relationships that are passionate yet stable, soulful yet grounded. It also encourages you to open up, to soften, and to allow intimacy to grow, especially when your Saturn influence tempts you to armor up emotionally. And let's not forget garnet's role in creativity and ambition. As someone who blends Capricorn's drive with Venus's aesthetic touch, you're uniquely wired to build something both meaningful and beautiful. Garnet stimulates your root chakra, which fuels discipline and endurance, while also lighting a creative spark. Whether you're writing, designing, leading, or strategizing, this stone helps you stay both inspired and focused. It reminds you that discipline and artistry aren't opposites, they're partners. So what does garnet reveal about you? That beneath your practical exterior lies a passionate force. That your seriousness is laced with deep feeling. That your ambition is fueled by love, not ego. And that your journey is not just about achieving, it's about evolving, healing, connecting, and ultimately becoming the most empowered version of yourself. Just like this gemstone, you carry fire and elegance in equal measure. Final cosmic take. Being born on January 12 means you were written into the stars with a blueprint unlike anyone else's. You are a paradox in motion, a walking contradiction that somehow makes perfect sense. You're grounded, yet artistic, the type who can map out a 5-year plan while designing a room so perfectly lit it belongs in a magazine. You understand structure, but you crave beauty. You value routine, but you live for those rare moments of magic. And it's this mix, this harmony between discipline and desire, that makes you unforgettable. You're also private, yet passionate. On the surface, you might appear reserved, even aloof. You're not quick to share. You keep your cards close. But once someone earns your trust, they discover a deep, burning flame of emotion and loyalty that's nearly impossible to find elsewhere. You don't love casually. You don't commit halfway. When you give yourself, in romance, in friendship, in work, you give everything. You're fiercely protective, intensely devoted, and never the type to flake. You are the definition of all in. And while the world may only see your achievements, the deadlines met, the goals crushed, the respect you quietly command, you feel deeply behind the scenes. You're moved by beauty, haunted by memories, stirred by music, transformed by love. You carry your emotions like an underground river, not obvious, but powerful, shaping everything in its path. It's this emotional depth, paired with your legendary work ethic, that makes you unstoppable. You work tirelessly, not because you have to prove something, but because building, creating, and achieving bring you purpose, fulfillment, peace. You're the kind of person who starts at the bottom and builds an empire, not just professionally, but personally. You know how to take limited tools and create something lasting. You're resourceful, strategic, and consistent. You don't rely on luck, you make your own. And even when the path is uphill, you climb with dignity, never asking for shortcuts, never needing applause. You're not just in it for the destination, you're sculpting your legacy one brick, one risk, one decision at a time. And here's the kicker, people might underestimate you at first. You're not the loudest voice in the room. You don't boast, brag, or broadcast. But once someone sees you in action, once they witness your wisdom, your wit, your loyalty, your depth, they never make that mistake again. You're the kind of person whose impact grows with time. Quiet at first. Then unforgettable. Like a great novel or a timeless song, you linger in the hearts and minds of everyone lucky enough to know you. At your core, you are a leader, a creator, a realist, and a dreamer, all at once. You can map strategy like a general, yet daydream like a poet. You see the flaws in the system, and you redesign it. You imagine better, and then you make it real. You're not content with mediocrity. Not in love, not in work, not in life. And that's what makes you so rare. You're not just here to exist, you're here to elevate, inspire, build, and transform. And perhaps most importantly, the world is better because you were born on this day. That's not an exaggeration. You bring a quiet magic into every space you enter. You offer stability where there's chaos. You create beauty where there's blankness. You give loyalty in a world that's too quick to quit. You're a force, not loud, but lasting. Not boastful, but powerful. And you're only just getting started. So wherever you go next, remember this, you were made for more. Your story is just beginning. And if this cosmic blueprint tells us anything, it's that your next chapter, it's going to be unforgettable. Want more like this? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out more in-depth astrology content in the links below. And hey, your cosmic journey is just getting started. Keep exploring.